5 surprise teams of the week. Number 5, that Frankfurt game. That was such an interesting game. Chiefs shutting out the Dolphins the first half, but then the Dolphins shutting out the Chiefs in the second half. Like, that was such an interesting game to me.
It was the type of game where the Chiefs definitely were the better team, but the Dolphins definitely... I mean, the Dolphins were getting blown out. Yeah. And they showed what, some other teams that may or may not be fraudulent didn't show last weekend. When you're getting blown out, you don't just quit, right? No. The Dolphins didn't quit. They came out of the half, they made the right adjustments, and they shut out the Chiefs in the second half. They held Travis Kelce to
nothing.
3 receptions for 12 yards. I mean, that's honestly probably the best thing that they did in that game. Yeah. I mean, if you can stop Kelce, you can beat the Chiefs.
Yeah. It hurt my fantasy football team.
Too.
But you know what? That was great job. I never thought the Dolphins had it in them. I thought the Dolphins were at least going to give up another touchdown or 2 in that second half, but they didn't. And you know what? Congratulations to the Dolphins.
Honestly, it's funny. I have more faith in the Dolphins now after that loss than I did before. Yeah. And there's another team that we're about to talk about that I have the same thoughts about. But let's go number 4 first.
Number 4, the high action showdown in Houston, Tampa Bay versus Houston.
I mean, this is the C.J. Stroud rivalry.
Crazy. 14-1. That touchdown to interception ratio, that's crazy. I mean, I don't think there's going to be another rookie that's going to put up numbers that are historical.
No, CJ's in. I mean, he's in the club now. Well, welcome to the club, CJ Stroud. You are a legit NFL quarterback. You are the first person. This season, there's been one quarterback who I think has really joined the legit quarterback club, which is Stroud. And I think there's 2 that have gone, maybe even 3 that have gone off of the club, which is, Tannehill's out of the club. Jimmy G's out of the club.
Yeah.
And Daniel Jones, I think, is out of the club.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones was not even in the club to begin with.
I think he made the club last year, and he got kicked out this year. Yeah. But C.J. Stroud just got into the club, and there's about 20 quarterbacks in the club, give or take. He's in. It's good for him. That was a great game.
Yeah. I think he's so good right now that it's making, I think, the Panthers question, why did we get Bryce Young in the first place?
That was
a little crazy.
To be fair, though, they played each other 2 weeks ago, and who won? Bryce Young.
But that's only their only win.
That's their only win.
So that means more.
I think they might get a win tonight. They're playing Chicago. I think they might beat Tyson.
They might.
I think Tyson Bagent might be in for a rough night.
If Tyson Bagent's in, then I think that he may have a better case to be the starting quarterback going into next year than Justin Fields. If they don't draft a quarterback in the offseason.
You mean if Tyson Bagent can string together some wins?
Maybe. Well, yeah, but I mean, it starts now against the Panthers. That's
you got to beat if Tyson Bagent loses tonight, he shouldn't start another game of football.
That's possibly true, but that's why he was at D2 Shepherd.
That's why. Yep.
Number 3, close game in Philly against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
What a game, honestly. I wasn't able to see so much of this game, but I saw that score, saw that final play. You know what, Cowboys, you've actually made me not doubt you for a second.
Exactly. Exactly.
That game against Philly, if you couldn't do that almost every week you play like that, man, I might even put you to win your wild card game, depending on who you play. You give me so much confidence with that. But we have to see you continue to do that. Because Cowboys, you have those weeks, those great weeks. You play like a team. Those were one of those weeks. Great team. Then you have those games. Cardinals.
You're still stuck on the Cardinals thing, but this is what I think is funny is you the Ravens lose to the Colts and you're you hold it against the Ravens, right?
Well, the Colts
the Cowboys lose to the Cardinals and you hold it against the Cowboys, but then when it's the Bengals got blown out by Tennessee, you're who cares? Burrow was hurt. Here's my thing. I don't think that's fair.
Oh, that's true. But ask yourself, Cardinals, who's their only win?
The Dallas Cowboys.
And then who else do you say? The Ravens, the Colts. Colts are almost 500 team.
Exactly.
But that's not as bad. The Cowboys losing to the Cardinals is worse than the Ravens losing to the Colts, because the Ravens lost on that kick.
Yeah, and you know who else lost to a bad team? The Chiefs lost to the Broncos. So
that's true.
It happened. But yes, my takeaway from this game, I had a rare week where normally if the Seahawks, unless it's a really close game for the Seahawks, I like to just watch Red Zone, and then I'll watch like the second half entirely of Seattle's game. This week, I actually watched the entirety of the Seahawks-Ravens, and then after that, I watched the entirety of Eagles-Cowboys. I didn't watch any Red Zone this week because that Eagles-Cowboys game was so captivating.
It was so
and this is the other team, this and the Dolphins. I have more belief now in the Cowboys than I did before that game, and they lost. Because that's what happens when you show up against a good team. I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Eagles when they have their rematch in Dallas.
I think you have a good chance.
I don't think they'll win the division, though.
No.
But I think they're going to be the 5 seed for the second year in a row.
Yeah.
Last year, they were the 5 seed, and they went to Tampa Bay, and they blew the doors out, and they ended Tom Brady's career. This year, I think they're going to be going to the Superdome. You think they're going to be going to Atlanta. But either way, I think they would win that game as well. So I think they are.
Well, actually, no, I don't think they're going to Atlanta. I think they're going to San Francisco, Levi Stadium.
You think the Cowboys aren't going to be the top wildcard team?
I think right now, I think it's a tie between the Vikings and the Cowboys. But I think it's close.
The Vikings are better than the Cowboys? Are you cracked?
I think, like I said, the momentum and the schedule.
Oh my god!
I think the Vikings.
Momentum. The Cowboys are on.
Momentum matters in football.
The Cowboys just played the best game of their season. They
and
have
then they'll
momentum.
play the worst game of their season next week.
No.
Who do they play against this week?
Cowboys are winning 12 games.
They play against New York. Okay,
Look,
they're gonna beat
crush the Giants because it's Tommy DeVito, and then pull up their schedule. Let's actually I do not think there's any possible way.
Let's look here. They're gonna beat the Giants. Then at Carolina, they're gonna beat the Cardinals. Oh, not
they're gonna beat the Panthers. They're 7-3.
Then they're gonna. I'm gonna put that Commanders game in the air.
They're at home against.
They'll win at home.
The Cowboys are one of the few teams where home field advantage matters a lot to them.
Yeah, I think they're gonna beat the Commanders.
8-3. Beat the Seahawks. There's no way my Seahawks are beating them. 9-3.
I think they lose to the Eagles.
I think they beat the Eagles. 10-3.
But then I also think they lose to the Bills.
I think they'll lose at Buffalo and lose at Miami.
Yep,
so then they lose back to back, 10-5. I think they beat the Lions.
I think the Lions beat them, and then I think
they lose to Washington last week.
I think they lose to Washington.
So I have them at 11-6.
I have them actually 9-8. It looks like
you think the Cowboys just can't beat any good teams? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe right now,
teams will they will win a few of these games against good teams. But,
yes.
I mean, they're going to get some.
I think right now I say 5 losses left, but you know what? It's gonna depend. Maybe next week I say 3.
Way they go 4-5 down. So you really?
I don't really think. I think right now.
You think they're going to lose 5 games in a row to end the season?
I don't think they will. But looking at the schedule, I'm thinking
they play the Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, Commanders. That's a tough 5-game stretch.
It is a tough 5-game
stretch. There's no way they'll
probably get 1 game. They'll probably get 1 game.
They'll win 2.
Probably win 2. I think I'll give you 2.
I think they can beat the Eagles and Lions at home. I really do.
Yeah.
So I have them 11-6. The Vikings are not getting to 11.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. And then number 2. Rams vying for a top 10 pick?
No, they're not. They're vying for a wild card. There's no reason why you would sign Carson Wentz unless you think you can still make the playoffs.
I don't even think if it's about signing Carson Wentz. It's just you're 3-6. You should have played a lot better in a lot of these games that you played in, and you haven't. You lost to the Packers. What? 3? You scored what? 3 points? Was it 3 points? Or how many points?
Well, okay, but Brett Rippon is terrible. I don't think people realize this.
He's terrible, but still,
when you're playing a backup quarterback, you really can't blame a team's offense.
I mean, that's true, but at the same time...
That's why I don't blame the Seahawks offense, honestly. I don't blame the Seahawks offense.
That's true, Levi, but 3 points? You could only produce 3 points with all the talent you have on that offense.
Terrible. Brett Rippon's terrible.
You can't always just blame the quarterback. You gotta.
You really, honestly.
That's an offensive struggle.
This is an improper philosophy, but in my opinion, the quarterback is far and away the most important member of the offense.
It is the most important. But I don't.
And when your quarterback's Brett Rippon, you're not gonna win.
That's true. Well, my number 1 surprise of the week: Jobs just got traded to go to the bench in Minnesota. That ain't gonna happen. He's gonna come back and beat the who did they play this week? I even forgot.
They beat your Falcons.
That's right. They beat the Falcons. They come back and they beat the Falcons. Come on. That is just a performance. You got traded You just got announced, hey, Hall's going to start over you. Okay. Hall goes out early in the game. He comes in and he performs great in Minnesota. And you know what? That's why I think Vikings are going to be the top wildcard team coming out of the NFC because they got momentum. Dobbs got actually a good team around him that he could utilize. And we'll see how the rest of the season plays out for the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they didn't start Jaren Hall because they think he's better than Josh Dobbs.
No.
I mean, like I said, Dobbs didn't know the playbook. He didn't know the guys on the team. He just got there, so he was gonna start this week either way, I think. But they didn't expect to have him play last week. Kudos to him. He played a good game.
He did.
All right, let's move on to some of your other top